love and life coaching delivered straight up like your best friend would if she were a licensed and certified mental wellness professional. If you don't know me yet, I'm Candace Harper, relationship coach and hypnotherapist, and I'm here to support you with feeling epic, enough, peaceful, illuminated, and courageous in every area of your life, but particularly your love life, whether you're single or not. I'm also here to teach all of us how to vibe high and manifest the sweetest possible love in this lifetime. I'm here to teach you how to ask for candy and to get it. If you've got something to say about what you hear, email me your comments and questions, askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok @CandyLoveCoach. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. Leave a review so I can shout you out. And share with the friends and family that you know will benefit from this spoonful of sugar. Now let's get started. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ask for Candy, where we talk about healing, self-care, love, sex, relationships, and what it takes to be amazing on the daily. I am Candace Harper, love coach, and I help heartbroken people become wholehearted with results-proven coaching and hypnotherapy so that we can heal the past, love ourselves unconditionally, start our love lives over from a clean slate. I'm also here to support us all in feeling epic, enough, peaceful, illuminated, and courageous in every aspect of our lives, but particularly in love, whether you're single or not. So I don't want you to forget to subscribe to our audio broadcast. Maybe you like to listen on Spotify, also on Anchor, iTunes, or now it's called Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you normally download. You can also email us, askforcandypodcast@gmail.com, to leave comments and ask questions. And those questions will be answered or used as topics in later broadcasts. So tonight's topic: dirty laundry, garbage, and other things to leave in 2021. Now, I can't remember where I got this. I want to say perhaps it was my mother, even though she wasn't diligent about it. There was a wives' tale or a tradition, I think something that people still do, that when it's the new year, and I'm recording this on New Year's Day, by the way, so anytime that you're listening, just know that I'm, referencing that today is New Year's when I'm recording, but the information that I have today is going to be relevant all year long. But anyway, the tradition is that you do all your laundry, you clean all your dishes, you clean your house, take out the trash, sweep the floors, just ritualistically clean out everything before the new year. And obviously it's a way to reset, right? A way to begin fresh, like clearing out my throat right now. Beginning fresh so that you can start from a clean slate and you don't have to bring the things that are no longer useful from the previous year into the new year. And it's a very symbolic way of, condoing your space. And, they say that what is in your space is a representation of what is in your mind. It's that sort of thing, right? And so I thought it'd be interesting if we really kind of dug into that a little bit and how it really works metaphorically, and how not necessarily the cleaning itself connects to your experience, although I think that that's very important and valuable, but some other things that we can leave, like we can use this metaphorically, how we leave things in 2021 that are no longer serving us. What would we like to leave behind in the previous year? You may have already thought about this. I don't know if you're like me, you might have done some New Year's Eve rituals. I do a little New Year's Eve ritual where I write down everything that I want to leave in the previous year, and I write it down on a long list, and I fold that up and I burn it in a little sage burner thing that I have, and I just let it go up in smoke. Now, before I do that, I do sort of get really present to each of the things I've written down. I might read them out loud, share them with someone if I'm doing the ritual together with someone, and just really be very conscious and present about what I'm saying that I'm leaving behind. And so I also wanted to make a list from some of the things that I'm leaving behind, but things that I've talked to clients about that they're wanting to leave behind. Just, an overall general list of things that I've compiled that are suggestions for what you might want to leave behind. And you can add your own. This is just to get us very conscious about it, right? So we always say, new year, new me. and all of that stuff. How do we create new year, new me? It doesn't have to be a new you, but it can be a you that has let the past stay in the past and actually put things where they belong so they're no longer dictating the future. So let's get into it. What are some things to leave in 2021? And I think you're going to be surprised by some of these things because they really are about empowerment, right? So the first one that came to mind, excuse me, I stayed up so late. I was so excited about the new year. The first one that came to mind was the belief that you are broken. So a lot of times when clients come to me, that's one of the first things that they say. I hear it very often. I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. And it's not an, oh, woe is me kind of place that they're coming from. It's a little bit of like, let me make fun of myself, a little self-ribbing, a little, admitting that what the choices that I've made so far haven't really worked out for what it is I'm trying to create in my life. It's that kind of vibe, right? So that claim of being broken, that belief that your picker when it comes to romantic partners is broken, that because you've had failed relationships that you're broken, or that you're failing in a relationship, and I'm putting failing in air quotes, in a relationship, that you're broken, that something is wrong, that you need to be fixed. I think that's a perfect thing to leave back in 2021, and I'll tell you why. Because none of us is broken. We don't need to be fixed. We're not, vases who've been dropped on the floor or anything like that. What we are is in a journey of learning, exploration, and evolution. And so everything that we experience, even the things that seem like they just really fucked with you, the things that really seem like they took you down and you never want to go through them again, they are exactly what we needed. They are exactly what was supposed to happen. And we know that because they did happen. And they are exactly what is there for you to use as an opportunity to be the best possible self you can be. You're not broken because you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still able. And so as long as those things are in place, and by able, I mean able on some level, if you're able to communicate, if you're able to experience any of your five senses, if you are able to get yourself from point A to point B, if you're able to enjoy things that you like to enjoy, take in, art, culture, read, things like that, you're not broken. You are here experiencing exactly what you were meant to experience to grow you and evolve you into your highest, best possible self. Right? And the belief that we're broken, when we harbor under that belief, it's like an irreparable kind of belief, because in the fixing, the visualization of the fixing is that it's never whole. It's never what it once was, right? When something gets broken and it gets glued back together, yes, it's glued back together, but it's never what it once was. So that thinking, it's very disempowering. If you want to hang on to it, be my guest. But it's one of those things that when you leave that back there in the past, and you let that not rule, let that not be the belief that guides you, you actually get to experience yourself as having survived and thrived as a strong person. And so I think that's what we want to bring into 2022. No more beliefs that I need to be fixed. And that the things that I choose to align with to grow me are just to grow me, not to fix me. When clients come to me and they're like, I need to be fixed, the very first thing that I tell them is that I'm not here to fix you because you are not broken. I'm here to show you where you can grow, where you can find opportunity, where you can actually experience what you want to be experiencing as opposed to what you don't want to be experiencing. Right? All whole, perfect, and complete, having the exact experience we're meant to have. The next one is the inability to trust. That is something to leave back in 2021 and start with ourselves. So a lot of times we show up in life with an inability to trust even ourselves. And it manifests as an inability to trust others. But what that mistrust really is that I can't open up, give my heart, let myself go, because I don't trust myself to do that with the right people, because I'm telling myself a story that in the past I've done it with the wrong people. No such thing as the wrong people. Everybody was meant to be, even the worst of them. I have a story that, I've been hurt before. I've made mistakes. So I don't necessarily know how to do things right, navigate relationships right, navigate with other people right. So, I have to be hyper cautious. And so I don't trust other people to show up the way I would need them to. And that is a lack of trust in the self. Right? So let's leave that back in 2021. Not trusting ourselves. Not trusting ourselves to know what to do. Not trusting ourselves to experience our lives in connection with other people and let that be okay. Let people be where they're at and who they are and drop the need to have expectation. Expectation is what causes disappointment, and expectation that someone do, be, or have the way we want them to be because that's what we've decided it should be. Right? That's what gets us into trouble. All that heartbreak came from the expectation that somebody fit into our mold, fit into our picture, and then the letdown when it turns out that they didn't. The letdown, the lack of being able to understand why they didn't or why they couldn't, and making it mean something wrong about us. Right? And it's nothing wrong. It's what we're conditioned to do, to think that love means that you be who I want you to be. Me loving you means that you're everything that I expect you to be, that you show up in the way that I expect. And so then when I get disappointed and get my feelings hurt, and it happens too many times, I start to mistrust and think, oh, that's just what people do. And really it's a manifestation of how I don't trust myself to just be with that everybody is not going to be what I want them to be. And particularly my romantic partner. My romantic partner, it's not their job to be everything that I want them to be. And I know that can be a hard thing to wrap the mind around because we're sold such a bill of goods about our soulmate and that perfect love. And that perfect love comes from unconditionality, not perfection. Ideal love, ideal partnership comes from unconditionality. I see who you are, exactly who you are. And I love you for your strengths. I accept your weaknesses, what I'm judging to be weaknesses, and I'm in full acceptance of it. So an ideal partner is someone for whom we're willing to say that to, give that to, and move forward with. Not someone who comes along with everything that we want them to have and being everything that we want them to be and acting every way that we want them to act and being infallible with it. So when you frame it like that, all the times that your trust was broken, air quotes again, all the times that your heart was broken or you were hurt, with a reframe, if you allow yourself the opportunity to see that the pain came from the expectation, the disappointment of the expectation. And it's a journey. It's a long journey. It's a willingness to examine, but it's what pulls us out of victim mode around love and what pulls us out of feeling that we can't trust ourselves and can't trust others as well. And some people will be like, I trust myself. La, 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 la. I know I'm going to come through for me. But even that sort of is a lone wolf syndrome. Like, I know if I only rely on myself, I'll meet my own expectation. That's still a lack of trust in the self, because if I refuse to open up and connect with other people, if I cut off that part of myself in order to be safe, that means I don't trust myself to be able to navigate connections. And what the hell else are we here for, kids? All the other stuff is just tools and bullshit. Our careers, our things we want to make and create. It's, that's not bullshit. Those are good things. Those are important things. But we are here to live into our highest possible self, live into ourselves as authentically and wholehearted as possible, play in this playground and connect with each other. That's what we're here for. All the stuff that we do in between, those are just our tools for doing it. Right? So that ability to trust oneself is a perfect thing to bring into 2022. Yay, self-trust. Because when I can trust myself, I can trust others, because I don't have such high expectations that you're going to fail me. Ruminating that causes things like limerence, obsession, depression, self-hatred. Now, I'm a ruminator from way back. the Overthinkers Club. Like, I can think something through a million different ways, a million different times, and I can have a different opinion every time. And then I can go back through it again and keep rolling it over again and again in my mind until it drives me up a wall or takes me down completely. I am very capable and talented at that activity. And I think that is something that I am happily leaving in 2021. Now, obviously, it's not a perfect science. You can't go through, almost 50 years of ruminating, overthinking, and giving things too much focus and fever to flipping the light switch and all of a sudden you're total zen and present in every moment. But I will say there is something to be said for being aware when you go into rumination. And when I go into rumination, in 2022, I'm going to say to myself, okay, this is what's happening. Is it worth it? Is it valuable? Is it serving you? Is it helping you? Is any of it true? Or is it just causing you pain? Is it causing you to be obsessed? Is it causing you to, fool yourself into thinking that you have feelings that you don't have? And that word limerence, which I mentioned, I just learned this word. I think I was today years old when I learned this word. Well, not just today, but within this past month or so. And it really opened up a lot for me because I realized that I've suffered from it many times in my adult life. And it is a obsessive, unrequited love for someone where you make up in your mind that that person is for you, even though their actions dictate otherwise. They might have some actions that dictate that they are, but then most of their actions dictate that they're not really there for you, not really present, not really in a relationship with you like you would hope. And limerence is when you just hold on to that idea that there is a relationship there when there really isn't. Or you continue to think about a person and obsess over your love and feelings for that person. And it's a little delusional, not just because that person is not as involved and engaged as you are, but because it requires writing stories and filling in the holes for when that person is not around, and also making that person into something more valuable and important in your life than they really are. Because if they don't really want to be there, or they aren't showing that they really want to be there in an involved way, if they're not engaging with you, nothing wrong with it. They're just not as valuable in your life as we can sometimes make them out to be when we're in a space of limerence. So that's something that comes from rumination, obsessing over people, things, things that we want to happen, obsessing over even a relationship that we're in, that we want that person to adjust or change or be something different for us. We want them to make a change, driving ourselves and them crazy with how they need to be different. Depression comes from ruminating. Like, oh, woe is me. This sucks. This didn't turn out the way I want, especially in these COVID streets. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that we could focus on that would cause a lot of anxiety and upsettedness and, constant, hypervigilance. And when we ruminate on those things, it doesn't actually fix them. It doesn't change them. It doesn't support anything in happening. It actually just causes us to suffer more. And many times needlessly. Rumination causes needless suffering. Causes self-hatred when we're beating ourselves up about something. Self-flagellation. Oh, you were wrong. Why'd you do this? Perfect thing to leave in 2021. Rumination. We don't need it. In 2022, what we're taking is self-awareness and the realization that when we are trying to slip into rumination, that we can remind ourselves that there is nothing that exists but that present moment. There's nothing to be manipulated. Life is just for our creation and our moving through each moment. And paying attention to what is good, being grateful for what is in the moment. So if you momentarily have your health, that's something to be grateful about right off the bat. If your health is somehow compromised, having the care that you need for your health is something to be grateful about. If your health is compromised and you don't have the care, the fact that you're still breathing is something to be grateful about. Because in gratitude, the solutions come. So, yeah, as long as there is life, there is presence, and that's all there is. That's all there is. right? So let's take that into 2022, knowing that the very moment that we're in is all that we actually really have. The rest of it is just stuff we're thinking about, movies that we're making up in our mind, stories that we're telling, choices, decisions, rumination, honey. And another thing to leave in 2021, self-abuse. Woo, child. The abuse of oneself. So, self-abuse is much more insidious and covert than when we're being abused by another. So another person can be very insulting. Another person can be physically abusive with us. But in our everyday lives, when it comes to self-abuse, obviously there's a huge range. There's all the way up to actually harming oneself physically, actually harming oneself emotionally, all the way down to just being willing to let oneself be, right? But one of the ways that's very common and socially accepted is the killing of ourselves around trying to look a certain way. Right? The self-abuse that happens from trying to look a certain way. And a lot of times, most times it comes down to weight control or, the choice between body acceptance or not acceptance. And the two extremes, I believe, of that are killing yourself to stay a certain size, depriving yourself to stay a certain size or to have a certain look, distorting and hurting your body so that it has some sort of ideal look to it, putting yourself through pain. And this is not to judge anybody, but, just to live your best life and really be in acceptance of yourself. There's nothing wrong with enhancing yourself and wanting to look pretty and all of that stuff, but hurting yourself in order to reach some ideal, that's something we could leave in 2021. Right? And the opposite of that is being so body accepted. And I don't consider this to necessarily be body accepted, that you go out of your way to maintain a body that's not healthy for you, like the overeating and the sort of celebration of overeating. And I'm doing this carefully because I don't want anybody to think that I'm body shaming anyone. It's like 2022, I feel like, will be a great year for balance, a great year for allowing yourself to indulge and also eating really healthy things that will help you function and help keep your brain clear and not necessarily have you skinny, but comfortable and physically able to do all the things that you want to do, right? Not laboring your heart. And you can labor your heart by being too skinny or too fat, not putting demands and pressure on your body to be something that it doesn't want to be. Either way, I think we could leave that back in 2021. I think, we've got enough things to think about and worry about in the world. And I know this sounds so rudimentary and people say it all the time, but what I want to inspire is balance for 2022. Enjoy yourself and nourish yourself. Nurture and love yourself, right? Be really accepted. Don't try to force yourself one way or the other. Just be good to your body. Listen to it. Listen to what it actually needs. And that's the thing. When we do listen to what our body actually needs, we become the most beautiful version of ourselves that we can be. And when we're happy with that most beautiful version of ourselves that we can be, no one else can compare. No one else can compare to that level of beauty, right? I'm the best version of myself that I can be because I listen to my body, I accept my body, I nourish it with nutritious food, and I indulge when it wants to be indulged. And I understand that I don't have to overstuff myself. I don't have to undereat. I don't have to go to any extremes in order to force myself to be one way or another. I just have to function and listen to what my body needs and just have an understanding of what it actually means to care for myself. We only have this one human suit, right? It's our vehicle. It's our earthly vehicle. So getting a great understanding of what it means to comfortably care for my body and not harm my body, not hurt it, not force it, not, do all the things that we often do in order to meet some ideal that no one ever actually can meet or maintain. Even those who look so beautiful on Instagram most often have all the right angles, lighting, and editing. And even those that look so beautiful in person. It's wonderful that they look so beautiful and feel so beautiful. It's fantastic, but it's not sustainable. It doesn't last for any of us. The best that we can do is just take really good care of ourselves and love, love, love ourselves with the things that our bodies need. Let's do that in 2022 because it makes you happier too. And it also makes love and connection so much easier. There's nothing to hide. I was watching that movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, last night. And, for those of you who are of a certain age, that movie. It's a classic. And there's a part, where the main character goes to hook up with a woman and, and I wear wigs, so I'm not judging anybody. But, she takes off her wig, then she takes off her fake boobs and she takes off her fake butt and takes off her leg. So, there's a lot of, and I know this from my own experience, when I used to hide, wearing wigs and thought that it was something that I had to hide when I would wear hair. You got to hide. You're hiding physically a part of yourself, from another person. And there's always that feeling of like, what's going to slip. And that was just wearing a wig. I mean, people out there are wearing all kinds of things to try to lift their face and, make this bigger or smaller or whatever. I'm not judging. Do what makes you feel good. But, just know that balance and loving yourself and just enjoying who you are is going to be the most beautiful, attractive, connective thing that you can do if what you want is true, real connection. And that's all. Doesn't mean don't wear the stuff. Just take it for what it is. Don't hurt yourself around it. Another thing to leave in 2021, judging and criticizing and being fearful of the judgment and criticism of others. So, I'm someone who could talk about people up, left, right, all over the place from Sunday to Sunday at a time in my life and bonded with people around that. So, families, friends, you get together. And one of the main things we love to do is make fun of and talk about people, judge people, criticize, gossip about people. And this is not me on some pious, holy high horse, but I was talking to a client yesterday, that awareness that the amount of judging and criticizing that we do is also the amount of judging and criticizing that we fear. Because when we are criticizers of others and we're always looking for what's wrong with other people, we assume that that's what everybody else is doing too. So when I'm afraid to be judged or criticized, I'm also afraid to live. I'm afraid to do the things that I want to do. I might be afraid to speak publicly. I might be afraid to, advance my career, ask for what I need. I might be afraid to be honest with a romantic partner and have connective conversations. I might be afraid to even meet people. I might be afraid to just enjoy my life, wear a bathing suit. It causes so much fear to be judgmental and critical because we can't help but feel like everyone is judging and criticizing us in the way that we do others. So leaving judgment and criticism back in 2021 where it belongs and bringing in 2022 acceptance, love, and letting it be okay that people are different. Not being so quick to put down someone's choices and intelligence because they think differently. We've been in polarizing political times in these past years, and part of the reason that it's so problematic is not that people disagree, but that people are so vitriolic about those who disagree and so mean about those who disagree and so, lacking in empathy if someone sees it differently, perceives things differently, because we think, okay, if someone's wrong, they need to be crucified. They need to be criticized. Or, often we think we sound more intelligent because we think we know more than other people, or, all of that stuff. It's just a waste of why we are here. We are here to learn, evolve, grow, experience authentic connection, connect with each other, get to understand each other. And all that stuff just stands in the way. Let's leave it in 2021. Another thing to leave in 2021, back to romance and love. Of course, everything is about romance and love, but requiring romantic partners to have a pedigree to impress our friends and family. So this one's mainly for all my single girls, but also for anyone who's in a relationship and they have, judgments about their partner because their partner doesn't have some certain pedigree. Or their partner does, and that's, one of the conditions of loving their partner, because you have this kind of job and you make this kind of money and you're from this kind of background. And I know that's such a common thing. It's like, something people do without even thinking about it. But that's something that could definitely be left in 2021, specifically for those of us who want to have real love and connection. I was talking to my client yesterday, same client from before, and one of the things that we touched on in the work together is that needing for someone to be impressive to friends and family in order for them to be a viable partner is a surefire way to end up with the wrong person. Right? It really is about you being impressed with that person. It really is about, and not on behalf of others, not in the hopes that others will be impressed with that person. Someone who can show you love and care and consideration and, support and fill you up and be there for you may not have all the pedigree that you expect. They might not have any of it. Right? So it's time to leave that in 2021. If COVID has taught us anything, no one is safe from the experience of humanity. No one is. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what, family you come from, what your pedigree is, what you've accomplished. Those things are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. If you're an accomplished person and you've really rocked your life choices, good for you. And that does say a lot about a person. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But when it comes to love and connection, love and romance, what you want is somebody who sees you. Not somebody who, because they check all the external boxes, deserves your love. Because that is a surefire path to unfulfillment in a relationship. You want someone who sees you and loves you for exactly what they see. And the only way they can see you is if you show yourself, right? So if you're walking around and require them to have certain aspects in place, then you also have to live up to those certain aspects. And nobody's really seeing anybody, because at the base of all of it, we are all human. Some of us make certain choices that are societally acceptable. Some of us make certain choices that are not so much, but it all comes from the same place of survival and trying to thrive, trying to figure it all out. So for 2022, require a romantic partner to see you and share yourself in a way that they can. And if they don't like what they see, let them go. And if they like what they see and they treat you in a way that aligns with how you feel about yourself, knowing that you love and accept yourself, they get a chance. They get the opportunity. They get to be with you. That's what I'm offering for 2022. Another thing to leave in 2021, building a case of evidence to hold on to resentments, right? So whoever you've cut off, whoever you're not speaking to, whoever you're claiming boundaries around, whether it's a family member or a friend, whoever you are actively not bothering with anymore because you have an evidence list for why you resent that person and why you're justified in resenting that person. And that person is not physically dangerous, just someone who you have had misunderstanding and falling out with. Let's leave that in 2021. You don't have to. You can keep holding on to it if you want to. You can keep building your case. But what is your case getting you? Is it valuable? Is it serving you? Does it have a point anymore? Or is it just to keep you from speaking to that person? Is it to keep you in your place of mistrust because you don't trust yourself to open up again to someone who you closed off, claiming that whatever they did was wrong? And you don't trust yourself to open up and not have the kind of expectation that would have you be hurt and disappointed again. I know. It's crazy. It sounds crazy. It sounds too deep. No, Candace, I had to set a boundary. They were just awful. Let me tell you all the reasons why they were just awful. I was perfect. I was an angel. I was a gem. But they were just awful to me. And I'm just not doing that. I am not dealing with anybody awful. I'm setting my boundaries. I am cutting them off. I am cutting off anybody who was just awful to me. Perfect me. Who never did a thing wrong, never said a thing wrong, and just did not engage in the breakdown of the relationship at all. I was perfect. I don't know, you might not be that extreme, but a lot of times when we hold on to resentments for someone, that is what we do. Right? We sort of hold ourselves up as this beyond reproach. They should have done what I would have done, and they didn't do it, and I'm disappointed. I expected them to act this certain way, and they didn't do it. And I'm mad. And so I have a justified resentment. And so I'm not even going to deal with them anymore. I'm going to act like they don't exist. Because we really do believe that we can cut people off and have them just disappear and that they no longer exist and that they're no longer in our consciousness. Which when we believe that, we are absolutely 100% fooling ourselves. You cannot emotionally kill off anyone. You think you can. You think you can. And yeah, there are people who you actually do need to walk away from and not be in contact with, especially if they're dangerous. Right? And there are people who are in a place in their journey where, you know, the way that they show up can be offensive. But that offense, feeling of offense is our own stuff that we got to deal with. Right? If we want to make it that we're the victim and they're the perpetrator, victims are violent, honey. Victims are violent. And by that, I mean, that's justification for cutting you off and treating you like you do not exist. I mean, that's the ultimate, severing of human connection. That is the ultimate sin. Because again, that is what we're here for, to connect on a human level, to connect with other humans. That is what we're here for, to commune. To know each other, to care for each other, to love each other. And yes, it's a constant battle because so many of us think that it's about us and our ego and what we need and our expectations on other people. Right? So then when someone falls short of our expectations, we can build that list of evidence. This is why I'm not dealing with that person anymore. This is what's wrong with that person. And we think, we tell ourselves a story that it's either got to be hearts and flowers and sweetness and light or nothing at all. Never mind just accepting that a person is where they're at. And if it rubs you the wrong way, it's not something that you prefer. That's something for you to look at. Like, well, what is it about me that takes so much offense when I'm dealing with this person? What am I telling myself that I'm making it that this person is so awful? A lot of times with families, there's a lot around punishment. Right? Especially with siblings. I feel like when siblings don't get along, how we treat each other as adults have everything to do with how we were punished as children. And so, if we were punished by silence, which is one of the worst, if you parents out there, I don't talk about parenting advice because I'm not a parent. However, I will say this, having been a child and also doing my research and working with clients, and what comes up the most, silent treatment from parent to child is one of the most abusive, horrific things that you can do to your child's psyche. Like saying to yourself that you're mad at that child so it justifies ignoring them. Please do not do that, because what you get is adults that grow up thinking that emotionally killing people off is the way to go. That's the way to handle things. When someone doesn't do what I want them to do and I'm mad at them, I'm cutting them off. I'm not communicating. I'm not speaking to them. I'm not finding any sort of reasonability. I'm not going to reconnect with them. And that has such a huge, horrific impact on how this world functions. So I implore you, parents, please do not ignore your children when you're angry at them. Do not give them the silent treatment. Do not treat them like they do not exist as a punishment. I'm not telling you what other punishments to use or, what is I'm not a parenting expert, but I do know that type of abuse, that cutting off of human connection, particularly from a parent, And having had a parent that was their way, like, I'm mad at you, so I'm not speaking. What ends up happening with the siblings is that's what they learn to do with each other as adults. And if you come from a family where a lot of people aren't speaking, or a lot of people have conflict with each other, especially if there's a lot of siblings, I will bet any money I ever make that there were parents at some point in the generations that did that exact thing to their child as they were raising them. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but it goes back to building a case of evidence to hold on to resentments. I'm not speaking to you, and here's all my reasons why, and I'm justified because I've got all these reasons. Meanwhile, not paying any attention of the impact that it actually is having on me to keep holding on to this resentment. Because anytime we cut off human connection, it does have an adverse impact on us. It may have an adverse impact on that person, but it definitely has an adverse one on us, even when we try to act so unbothered, which is such a bullshit. I'd never buy it. I'm so unbothered. I'm flip of the hair. I could care less about that person. To me, that is just such bravado and pretense and pretending, because that's not how we're built. Specifically when women do it. I don't believe it. I don't buy into it. I do think there's something to be said for, not engaging in the drama. That's one thing. Like, if someone is acting crazy and you don't engage with it, and you make the decision that that's not what I'm down for, you set a boundary for yourself and say, I'm not engaging with that person's drama. Nothing wrong with that. But that I'm unbothered and it doesn't shake me. I don't think about it at all. I don't, you are nothing to me. Yeah. I mean, to me, that just sounds like pain and more pain, because that's not how we're built. And maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm just a naive little flower, but I've been on the earth for a little while. So I try to think maybe not. So those are some things, I could go on and on. This could be all day, but the hour goes by very, very fast. And there's two main things that I want us to think about generating in 2022 as we leave these other things behind. And any of the ones that you think of, if you're on the newsletter, if you're not on the newsletter yet, please get on the newsletter. You can either go to my website, CandiceHarperLoveCoach.com, and sign up for the newsletter, or you can email me and ask me to put you on the newsletter, which I'm happy to do. But respond to me with some things that you are leaving behind in 2021. If you see the link to this podcast posted anywhere, wherever you see it posted, feel free to comment. Tell me, what are some things that you're leaving behind in 2021? Some behaviors, some emotions, some ways of being that you are very clear do not work for you anymore, and maybe never worked for you at all, and you're just coming to that realization. 2022 is going to be a year of realizations of what is just not working, and letting those things go, right? Being more self-aware and focusing on all the things that do work, all the wonderful things that are possible. So things to generate in 2022, adjusting our beliefs to create a wholehearted experience of life, adjusting our beliefs. So our behaviors come from our beliefs. Our actions come from our beliefs, what we believe about things. And the wonderful thing about beliefs is that we get to adjust and change and mold them so that they can work for us or against us. And once we know that we have that immense amount of power, life changes 100%. Once you know that you can adjust a belief, even a long-held belief, something that you were told or taught, something that was conditioned into you, and you can believe differently, you can create and experience a completely different life and all the things that you want to create and experience. Unconditional love and acceptance, starting with oneself and then floating it out to others. That's the other thing I want us to generate in 2022. Unconditional love and acceptance, starting with oneself. And I talk about that a lot. It's at the crux of everything. If we want to do what we are here for, which is to connect on a human level, we have to start with loving ourselves unconditionally and letting ourselves be okay. We have to stop calling ourselves broken. We got to stop beating ourselves up to try to get to something. We got to stop coming from a place of thinking we're not enough for whatever it is that we want, whatever it is we're up to. We got to start healing so we can be unconditional with ourselves. We can love ourselves through our little foibles and mistakes. And that's another thing. If you were a kid and you got punished for mistakes, harshly punished for mistakes as an adult, you probably give yourself such a hard time, it almost paralyzes you. It probably made you a perfectionist. I get it. I've been there. But that's the kind of stuff that we want to be healing. We got to be our own parent around it, right? Unconditional love and acceptance for oneself. And that's it, my sweethearts. Another week has gone by. We're beginning a brand new year. It is the first day of the new year, 2022. My angel and ancestor spirit guide number is 222. And I know whenever I see that number that everything is going to be all right. And I see that number frequently anytime there's any transition in my life. Anytime anything major comes up, anytime I'm thinking about, possibilities, choices, what's going to happen in the future, that number pops up again and again and again. I love that number. And now we are in 2022, which for me, I'm looking at as a 222 because 0 is 0. And so I, for one, am very excited about what this year has to offer. I'm very excited about all that we are up to, especially you as my Ask for Candy community. And I'm hoping that you will join me, on this road of healing. So did you suffer a breakup last year? Are you in the midst of a relationship breakdown right now? Are you suffering through a love life that is challenging and difficult? Are you ready to go from heartbroken to wholehearted? And when I say ready, I mean that you are at a 7 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, that it is due or die alone, honey. I mean, you're going to die alone anyway, but you know what I mean. Spend your last days, your last years completely in isolation on your own. Nobody wants to do that. But often when we're afraid to heal the stuff that needs to be healed, we make it impossible to have real connection with someone who might be living right in our house, let alone bringing anybody else in, to connect and be with. So I have a one-on-one program for you. It's called Heartbroken to Wholehearted, and it's a combination of both coaching and hypnotherapy. It's 9 weeks of individualized love, attention, and learning your way into healing the past, loving yourself unconditionally, and starting your love life over from a clean damn slate. And if you're ready to make an emotional and a financial investment to your freedom, if you are not ready to make both of those investments, we are not ready to work together. But I have high hopes for the future. This program requires both emotional and financial investment. Financial investment is very tied to emotional investment and vice versa, because when we actually put our money towards something, as much as we value money, we know that we will follow through. We know that we are committed. We are telling the universe, we are reminding ourselves, we are letting everyone know around us that I am in full commitment to have this happen. Now, for some of us, it's I am putting all this money down thinking that it's all going to be done for me. And I think that can be misleading. But that is why I say that this is both an emotional and a financial investment, because it will require being willing to shift some beliefs around, like I talked about. And you'll get so powerful around being able to do it. What you will manifest, just knowing how you can shift your beliefs around and completely change your experience of your love life. Trust me, honey, you won't even remember the financial investment. So investing for your freedom, your physical wellness, how you experience your love life, I 100% recommend it. If you want to find out more or get on a consultation call, a complimentary consultation call with me about this program, you can email me, Candice@CandiceHarperLoveCoach.com. Candice@CandiceHarperLoveCoach.com, and ask for my exclusive consultation link. Don't forget to ask for it, because then I'll just think you're emailing me just for the sake of it. Say, Candice, I want your exclusive consultation link, and I will send it to you. You can follow me on Instagram @CandyLoveCoach and TikTok @CandyLoveCoach. You can see me live for those of you who've never seen me, and I give little messages. I talk to you. I give you some love, some little nuggets of candy as often as I can. I try to do it at least 3 times a week. I'm in 2022. I'm going to be even more present on my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm shooting for 4 to 5 times a week, but we'll see. Mama's got things to do. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon podcasts and all the other ones, wherever you listen to podcasts. Look for us, search for us, and subscribe. Catch any of the episodes that you may have missed. I love you so much, my sweetheart. Until next time, never forget that you are a love machine. If you ever start to feel like you aren't getting the love that you need, just make more and then ask for candy. Happy New Year. Mwah, mwah, mwah.